imagine if you had a leader in this country like JFK today. I know people are going to say RFK Jr. and all that. Listen, if you just, we're going to play a clip for you now.
But do you know why you can't? Because it isn't him. I mean, yes, he was a good candidate, and I understand that you have
sure
appreciated. It's also the complete control of media that now you just do not have that. There is too much independent. There's too much. Everybody is watching. Everybody's a journalist. So a lot of the story and the narrative is never going to be able to be that pure again. And that is a big part of the legacy of that is this narrative of Camelot that was not real. And so I don't think somebody could happen like that again, even if they were a great candidate, because nobody believes in fairy tales anymore.
Well, this was a fairy tale candidate that made it into the White House. And we're going to play a clip for you in honor of
the anniversary of death.
Jack's unfortunate assassination anniversary, which is still being debated today, although there shouldn't be any debate. We all know that he was trying to do things that the powers that be didn't want, and they took his life for it. So here we go.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
If an American, because his skin is dark, cannot eat lunch in a restaurant open to the public, if he cannot send his children to the best public school available, if he cannot vote for the public officials who represent him, if, in short, he cannot enjoy the full and free life which all of us want, then who among us would be content to have the color of his skin changed and stand in his place? Who among us would then be content with the counsels of patience and delay? 100 years of delay have passed since President Lincoln freed the slaves, yet their heirs, their grandsons, are not fully free. They are not yet freed from the bonds of injustice. They are not yet freed from social and economic oppression. And this nation, for all its hopes and all its boasts, will not be fully free until all its citizens are free.
The cost of freedom is always high, but Americans have always paid it. And one path we shall never choose, and that is the path of surrender.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
Where the separation of church and state is absolute. Where no Catholic prelate would tell the president, should he be Catholic, how to act. And no Protestant minister would tell his parishioners for whom to vote. Where no church or church school is granted any public funds or political preference. And where no man is denied public office merely because his religion differs from the president who might appoint him, or the people who might elect him.
What kind of a peace do I mean, and what kind of a peace do we seek? Not a Pax Americana, enforced on the world by American weapons of war. Not the peace of the grave, or the security of the slave. I am talking about genuine peace, the kind of peace that makes life on earth worth living, the kind that enables men and nations to grow and to hope and build a better life for their children. Not merely peace for Americans, but peace for all men and women. Not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.
And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it.
Or something. Yeah. So the chatter, of course, in the chat, but I actually agree that I don't think that he necessarily was not going to have Vietnam. Like, I don't agree that that's a thing. And I don't think that's why he got dead. I think he got dead because he challenged the deep state and he wanted to take power away. And he also fired Allen Dulles. And I think that you screw with the Dulles brothers, you get dead.
If there's one, if you want to point the finger at one person and one person only that is responsible for Jack's assassination, I would point it at Allen Dulles. He would be number one.
That, and I also think that Johnson. Look, I mean, and for me, in any case like that, you always look at who has the most to gain from any scenario, and obviously,
all historic information has suggested that Johnson was going to be dropped from the ticket at the Democratic convention.
That doesn't surprise me. And I think that. Who knows? He probably got together with like the Dulles brothers and was like, yeah, I'm all for that war. If you put me in, I'll escalate. I'll escalate.
Well, here's the thing. There's been, again, how much of it is accurate? One can only guess because ultimately everyone has their way of exaggerating the truth. LBJ had a mistress who was very tight-lipped for most of her life, but at the end decided that she was going to tell her side of the story, which involved talking about a meeting at a very wealthy oil baron's home the night before the assassination, and more or less was privy to this idea that, yes, something's going to happen to Kennedy tomorrow. And this came directly from LBJ's mouth. Now, is it hearsay? Who knows? But if you look her up, I think her name was Madeline Brown, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that's her name.
Oh, we're so going to get demonetized. So in one episode, we've sat here and
we're not saying it's true.
Talked about Debbie, and now we're talking about the JFK.
Hey, listen, we have a video clip of Debbie that we can play if you really want to try to get demonetized.
No. But I still want to get the ones of her that I think I would love to be able to push the button and have it be like, no.
Well, here, so what is
patrons?
So what is the legacy? What is the legacy of Jack and the Kennedys as a whole?
You shouldn't call him Jack.
Okay, of JFK.
I feel like that's just way too familiar. You always refer to him as Jack like you're a friend.
Okay, excuse me. I'm
just saying.
You
it's
say
very
it
familiar.
You do it to try to insult me.
No,
yes,
but you say Jack
yes,
like
you
you're
do.
buddies.
Yeah, you do.
I don't. I say it because it's awkward to me that you're referring to him like you know.
Okay, so former President, now deceased Kennedy. What is his legacy?
But I also feel weird calling Kennedy Bobby. Like, I feel like that's very familiar.
Maybe so. Well, he's not president yet.
It doesn't matter. I don't know him well enough to just go up to him and say, hey, Bobby.
I think John F. Kennedy's legacy.
See, it's like, because it's true. It's like that's what that's what his wife and family would refer to him as. Like, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
It is.
Maybe they call him John Fitz.
Maybe they call him Fitzy.
So for Fitzy and his legacy, it was a great presidency unrealized. Many of the things that he was fighting for,
Ted Cruz's dad,
did not come to fruition.
It's all Ted Cruz's dad's fault.
I don't think Oswald, if he had anything to do with it, he was a patsy. There's way too much evidence.
He was just he is a patsy. I mean, he obviously was involved with whatever organization to the extent that he was at the place that he needed to be to take the fall for whatever it was. So he was clearly somehow involved. He wasn't random. He didn't just happen to be there. He was clearly involved. But
he was a member of the CIA.
Right, like what he knew and why he was like, we'll never know.
Well, one thing that is always got to be put into historical context is anybody who's ever paid attention to political assassination throughout history. Anyone who commits an assassination of a world figure has always admitted the deed. Always. That's never been in denial, except for Lee Harvey Oswald, who said he was a patsy. I did not shoot the president. I am just a patsy. If you look at anybody else who's either
you don't even have to listen to that. Really, the forensic evidence speaks for itself.
Correct.
It's absurd.
Everything.
It's absurd.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.